I don't need that.
We should take
I
a
got
look.
time for it. Someone else can do that.
David? David, we should take our cars back to the hotel.
When did that happen? I did not realize that.
But we should take
What do you want? Egg shaker.
I'll be the number one.
Have one? Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. She was a really good tambourine player. I'm not as good as she. She was like real good and she was did all this stuff and I was like, excuse me, you're still taking a tambourine class? I know. And she loved her. That's because she's a newbie. Well, that's because she's crazy. She's crazy. She wants to be the best at everything. That's what I'm curious. What's I gonna say? I got a drink. She goes, what's your rate for tomorrow? I said, whenever I'm done. And she goes, let me service you. Just one. Are you sure? Yes. I'm sure, mother. Did you check in on me? Yeah, we do only have one. Yeah. Keep hearing tales of two services. Talking of services. Wait, what?
Shana Tova. What a wonderful year, our start of our Rosh Hashanah. How joyful it is for us to be together in one room. This is a moment that Cantor and I have been waiting for a very long time. And to just see our service extend all the way to the back is such a wonderful thing. For those of you who are familiar with our services the last few years, we had a creative service and a standard service. We've combined them, and what you'll hear today, this morning, as we're all together in one room, no A to L and M to Z. I don't think you ever followed that anyways. Don't worry, we do. What we have is a communal experience. You're going to hear a little bit from both of the services. We have our choir, we have Shirunah, and we're really integrating the service in a really beautiful way. And you can hear even from that first song, that's something Cantor picked out especially for this moment, is a new way, a new sound that you're going to hear, along with all the things that you're familiar with as well. So look to one another, look out at each other. That's probably the most important thing that we do today. Because we've arrived at another year. That's not something we take for granted. We're really appreciative of everyone's presence here today. I'm thankful and grateful to have you. We have our gold books, which are our Rosh Hashanah books. It clearly has the transliteration, the Hebrew written in English letters, as well as the English. I invite you as we begin to turn your phones onto silent. And I also, one more reminder that I'm especially thankful for, it's something I spoke about last night, our new security system. Please say thank you to the police officer that's outside, the Amherst police officer. We have an integrated system that, thanks to our board of directors as well as our Buffalo Jewish Federation, that allows us to feel secure here. But please, a special thank you. Often when we have an Amherst police officer, it's maybe their first time here. We want to make sure that they feel at home and appreciate all that they're doing. So we're going to turn in our prayer books to page 125. And we're going to read responsively, "We praise you." We praise you, Adonai our God, ruler of all time and space. We call you Pokeach Ivrim, the opener of blind eyes.
Help us to see your world in a new light.
We call you Malbish Arumim, the dresser of those without clothing.
Help us to put on the garments of health and life.
We call you Matir Asurim, the freer of captives.
Help us to break free of the bonds that keep us locked within ourselves.
We call you Zokef Kefufim, the straightener of bent backs.
Help us to find the power to stand upright and proud.
We call you Hamechin Mitzadeh Gaver, the steadiness in our steps.
Help us to understand our journey ever more clearly.
We call you Hanotein Layaev Koach, the source of strength for the weary. Help us to be strong and to be a source of strength for those we love. And we continue with Psalm 150 on page 135.
Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah.
Let's feel that breath of God, our neshama, our soul inside of us, and let's take a nice deep breath of Rosh Hashanah air. We're taking in each other and we're creating community, so let's turn to page 142 for our call of community, the Baruch Hu. Please rise if you're able. Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or u'varei choshech oseh shalom u'varei hakol. Blessed is God who is with us in all moments, in moments of light and in darkness. And we remain standing on page 147, and I'd like to invite up Steve Sugarman and Judy Gerber for I Am the Blossom.
I am the blossom, pressed in a book, found again after 200 years.
I'm the maker, the lover, and the keeper.
When the young girl who starves sits down to a table, she will sit beside me.
I am food on the prisoner's plate.
I am water, rushing to the wellhead, filling the pitcher until it spills.
I am the patient gardener of the dry and weedy garden.
I am the stone step, the latch, and the working hinge.
I'm the heart, contracted by joy, the longest hair white before the rest.
I am there in the basket of fruit presented to the widow.
I'm the musk rose opening unattended, the fern on the boggy summit.
I am the one whose love overcomes you, already with you when you think to call my name.
All life springs from a single fountainhead. Listen, Israel, know the oneness at the heart of multiplicity. With love and reverence, bear witness to Makor HaChayim.
We continue with the Shema on page 150. To invite up Rela Chorus to lead us in the V'ahavta on page 152 and 153.
Please join me. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levacha u'v'kol nafshecha u'v'kol miyadecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele Asher Anochi Mizavka Hayom Alavavecha Vishinantam Manecha Vidibarta Bam Vishivtika Vavetecha Uvlektika Vader Ushakbaka Ukumecha Ukshartam Leot Al Yadecha Vihayu Latotafot Benenecha Uktavtam Al Nuzadot Betecha Uvisharacha Lamantis karu va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hetem kidoshim le'lohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti yechem me'eretz Misrayim Liot lachem Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
We move from the Shema to the Micha Mocha, two of our most important biblical verses, the crossing of the sea on page 164.
שיר החדשה שבחוג גאולים לשמך על שפת הים יחד כולם הודו והמלכו ואמרו
for the Amidah, the standing prayer, page 166, if you're able, and we're going to continue through page 170.
Adonai sifatai tifta, ufi agite hilatecha. Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai
This is the moment where we recognize life hangs in the balance. We don't always feel it, but here on Rosh Hashanah we do. In the middle of the page we read together. Let us proclaim the power of this day, a day whose holiness awakens deepest awe and inspires highest praise for your dominion. For your throne is a throne of love, your reign is a reign of truth. Page 176, together. And so a great shofar will cry Tekiah, a still small voice will be heard. Angels in a whirl of fear and trembling will say, Behold the day of judgment, for they too are judged. In your eyes even they are not blameless. All who come into this world pass before you, like sheep before their shepherd, as a shepherd considers the flock when it passes beneath the staff. You count and consider every life. You set bounds, you decide destiny, you inscribe judgments. On the next page, 170. Together in the English. On Rosh Hashanah this is written, and on the fast of Yom Kippur this is sealed. How many will pass away from this world? How many will be born into it? Who will live and who will die? Who will reach the ripeness of age? Who will be taken before their time? Who by fire, who by water? Who by war and who by beast? Who by famine and who by drought? Who by earthquake and who by plague? Who by strangling, who by stoning? Who will rest and who will wander? Who will be tranquil and who will be troubled? Who will be calm and who will be tormented? Who will live in poverty and who in prosperity? Who will be humbled and who exalted? On the next page, right? But through return to the right path, through prayer and righteous giving, we can transcend the harshness of the decree. We turn to page 184 for the Kedusha.
נקדש שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי ברום, כתוב היה נביאך, וקרוב זכר זה ביום.
We continue with our own silent reflections through page 196. Take a moment, listen to the silence. Whenever you're ready, you may be seated. Now is the time of the shofar service, the first of our shofar services. And we have shofar extraordinaire, Steve Blickman, all the way from Rochester. I invite Steve up with his shofar. We're going to be turning to page 206. I feel so terrible. You just sat down, but I'm going to invite you to rise. And we have the shofar blessings with the cantor choir on 206.
אשר קדשנו במצוותיו, וציוונו לשמוע קול השופר. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
We can say them together if you'd like. Tikkiya. Shivarim Trua. Tikkiya. Tikkiya. Shivarim. Tikkiya. Tikkiya. Trua. Tikkiya. You may be seated. And now you can sit for a bit. It's time for my talk. Shana Tova. So Steve, when you came up here, we do the first set. I feel like we're always missing something because there's no Tikkiya Gedolah. We have to wait till the end of the service to do that. And we were just told in the Unatana Tokef section that in that moment when we find God, particularly on the High Holy Days, that we hear that Tikkiya Gedolah resounding, and then afterwards it says that we hear the still small voice. So it's that still small voice that I'm going to talk about. First, I'd like to tell you where that voice comes from. It actually comes from the first book of Kings. from a story, a very famous story about Elijah. Elijah is battling with Jezebel and the idol worshippers, and he goes looking for God. And he says that God does not come in the earthquakes or in the fire or in the wind, but God is in the kol demama vidaka, the still small voice. It's that quiet voice that we search for here. It's that quiet voice that we hear during the tefillah, during the Amidah, in moments where we feel the quiet in the room around us. We always think of that voice as a beautiful voice. I think of the burning bush. That's the image that we have here on our curtains of our Torah ark. That beautiful image of not a big bush on fire, but a little tiny one that Moses somehow hears. That's what I think of. But there was a Rebbe, he was Hasidic, in the 19th century. His name was Menachem Mendel of Kutz. He's also called the Kutzker Rebbe, who thought about this damama, this silence, in a very different way. And he really transformed the way that I heard it as well. And that's what I'm going to delve into. He said, Ein davar shalem yoter melev shavur v'zoek meha damama. You can hear the damama there. There is nothing as full as a broken heart and the scream of silence. He takes the stillness of silence and he transforms it into a scream. What did he mean by that? When I first learned the saying, I was in Jerusalem in the year 2000, and the Second Intifada had just broken out. It was a very tumultuous time, and those of us there, usually Ben Yehuda is full of people, for those of you familiar with Jerusalem. It was empty. There were no tourists. Everything was different. Everyone was on edge wherever we went. And when I heard this saying, that's what I heard. A scream of silence. That's what I heard on Ben Yehuda. That's what I heard when I walked down my way. This trepidation that was quiet and not loud. This expectation of something awful. A scream of silence, something that perhaps was intended to be heard but was prevented from. Maybe that's what the still silence is, something that we need to hear. So I'm going to do something with great bravery. Apologize, Cantor. I'm going to sing something that I wrote with another classmate that year about this verse. Because I think it speaks to how important it was, and I think about it often, wherever I am, trying to find this scream of silence. So forgive me in advance. Ein davar shalem yoter melev shavur. Ein davar shalem yoter melev shavur. V'zoek mehad mama. V'zoek mehad mama. There is nothing as whole as a broken heart. There is nothing as whole as a broken heart. And the scream of silence. And the scream of silence. The Torah portions that we read on Rosh Hashanah, there are many sounds. The laughter after the birth of Isaac, the playful banter between Ishmael and Isaac, the cries of abandonment from Hagar and Ishmael, the angel's voice crying out to Abraham, and the imagined shofar blast at the story's conclusion. But what I hear most is not a sound at all, but this kol damama v'daka, the still, small voice. And the voice that I hear is of a child too afraid to voice his own concerns. The child, Hayeled, is Isaac, watching as his world implodes around him, powerless in the face of the powerful adults that surround him. Help me, Azorli, he asks. In this age of Me Too and Believe the Victim, I think it's about time that we do, that we believe Isaac, that we listen to his voice. All he wants is what all children want and deserve: to be loved and protected, to be safe. Tomorrow's story is framed as a test of Abraham and his faith. Indeed, the whole saga is framed that way. But recently, I've come to realize that it is not Abraham alone who is being tested, but us as well. Can we stop future Isaacs from being hurt? Can we ensure future Abrahams are held accountable for their crimes? Can we create a world where such things never happen in the first place? Yes, I believe we can and we should. Every day we move closer to that world. And finally, I think we're ready to hear Isaac's cry. Before going further into this, I want to take you back to a different sound of silence, a scream of silence. This time not from our ancestors, but from my own family and the grave consequences when the cry went unheeded. All four children of my great Uncle Jack made Aliyah to Israel in the mid-1980s. 2 brothers, 2 sisters, each motivated by a deep sense of our people's historical roots. The sisters settled side by side in Beersheba, a city whose name is derived from the story of Isaac. The brothers settled further north, one in the territories in the outskirts of Jerusalem, and the other in a religious moshav an hour south of Tel Aviv. Of all 4, my cousin Denny is the most imposing, a doctor for the small religious enclave. I remember him as tall, lanky, and somewhat stern. He and his wife Gail have 5 children, 1 boy and 4 girls. It's the story of the eldest, the only boy that I'd like to share with you today. His name was Yonatan. I believe I met him twice, once in 1989 and the other in 1993. My cousins, all 4 sets of them, were gracious to host me for Shabbat and holidays during my studies in high school and college and later rabbinical school. I remember Yonatan being the most joyful of all of them. Smart, inquisitive, always smiling, he seemed destined for big things. The event in question happened in the summer of 1999, exactly 2 decades ago. Yonatan was in the army, fulfilling his duty as a citizen of Israel. He was in Samchanim, the parachutes. He was a spry 18-year-old, completing basic training. It was during this time that he became very close to his commander. He had a good unit, he was happy, but then everything went terribly wrong. In the middle of an excursion into the field, his commander, the one he loved so much, was killed, and Yonatan was devastated. The commander who replaced the one who died was tough-minded and required the boys to get right back to work and to ignore the sadness they felt at the loss of their former commander. Yonatan no doubt tried to be a good soldier and fall in line with the rest of the unit. But when his request came to come home for the high holidays was denied, he snapped. This is where my cousin went missing. Israel is a small country. The entire country went on red alert to find him. They searched high and low with no result. Erev Rosh Hashanah, the eve of our holiday. Yonatan's body was discovered. A few officers went to the Moshab to share the news with Denny and Gail. It was not good. Yonatan had died of self-inflicted wounds. While I was not there, I could imagine my cousins' faces. Their world had collapsed around them, and yet for them, the celebration of holidays, particularly the high holy days, takes precedence above all other things, even mourning. They arranged the house as they always did, attended services, and had meals with the family, no doubt in stunned silence. And then my cousin Denny went to read Torah as he did every Rosh Hashanah. The portion was Akedat Yitzchak, the binding of Isaac. A father who just lost a son, reading about a father taking his son to be sacrificed. A year later, when I was in Israel for rabbinical school, I was at Denny and Gail's for Rosh Hashanah. Their pain and loss affected every conversation. They spoke about the prevalence of suicide in the Israeli army, how the government officials often minimized the problem. By then, the spotlight had started to fade from the family, and that I could feel Yonatan's presence everywhere. As good Orthodox Jews, they went through the motions of their Rosh Hashanah obligations once again. The only concession my cousin Denny made was to not read Torah. Traumas like the one in our Torah reading or the one experienced in my family do not simply fade away. Their screams resound throughout the ages like a broken shofar cry. Till they are fully heard, they will continue to cry out. In the 1840s, a Dutch philosopher, Soren Kierkegaard, attempted to do the impossible, to get inside the head of Abraham, to try to understand what he was really thinking when he brought his son to be sacrificed. In his primary work, Fear and Trembling, he dissects the binding of Isaac, retelling this foundational story not once, not twice, but 4 times. He is consumed by this story, delving deeply into each of the characters, trying to figure out exactly what they were thinking at any moment in the narrative. He desperately attempts to help Abraham out. But every time Isaac is bound, every time the family is reunited in silence. The final version is the most painful, as Kierkegaard writes. Then they returned again home, and Sarah hastened to meet them, but Isaac had lost his faith. No word of this had ever been spoken in the world, and Isaac never talked to anyone about what he had seen. And Abraham did not suspect that anyone had seen it. Long before CT scans and MRIs, Kierkegaard understood the human psyche. He understood the deep impact the stories in Genesis would have had on all of its participants. Yes, Isaac's life was spared, but his soul was not. This is the way of trauma. It replays and replays in our minds. In 2019, we understand the effects of trauma better than at any time in human history. We understand the changes it makes inside our brains, our bodies, our very beings. Trauma impacts everything. Just down the road from us in Cleveland, Ohio, I think of it as our neighboring city, Dr. Rachel Yehuda, an Orthodox psychiatrist, helped prove as much. In studying Holocaust survivors 30 years ago, turns out that Cleveland actually has a very high percentage of Holocaust survivors. She saw the way the Nazi atrocities had changed their biology, not just their behavior, but their DNA as well. Epigenetics, the field Dr. Yehuda helped to create, tells us that trauma changes us and our genes. Lador, vador, lador, from one generation to the next. Trauma is the single greatest cause of human suffering in the world today. Recent statistics tell us that in the United States, over 60% of men and 50% of women report experiencing some sort of traumatic event over the course of their lives. Even scarier, 26% of children will witness a trauma before they turn 4. The effects of traumatic events are all around us, all the time. It is in any room with a large gathering of people. Close your eyes and you can hear it with us right now. How can we combat such a large epidemic? We must work one Isaac at a time. We must become what Dr. Bessel van der Kook argues in his excellent book, available at Barnes & Noble, The Body Keeps Score, a trauma-aware society. That's what his recipe. Society where the silence can finally be heard. A particular story from the book stands out. I think it stands out to me because it involves a boy named Noah who's in first grade, which is just like what I have at home. But it takes place on September 11, 2001. And we know what happened on that day. But this boy, Noah, was attending first grade at PS 234, which happens to be right opposite the World Trade Center. There, he witnessed the horror of the fateful day, and he fled with his parent, his father, I believe, and older sibling on foot to find safety. The day was harrowing for the child and clearly traumatized him. The next morning, sweet Noam, drew a picture of what he had witnessed the day before. In the picture are the outlines of the two large buildings with a squiggly line around the tops as a way of depicting the smoke. The shape of a darkened plane hovers on the right side of the picture. On the left side are stick figures falling from the sky and graves on the ground right below them. At the bottom center of the picture, right below the buildings, is a small, ambiguous black circle. So Dr. van der Klerk interviewed Noam right after the event, about 10 days later. And he asked him, what was this black circle? It's a trampoline, is what Noam replied. So van der Klerk prodded him further. Why is a trampoline needed in the picture? And Noam's answer was, so that next time people have to jump, they will be safe. We cannot stop Noam from witnessing the planes, or prevent Abraham from taking Isaac, or restore Yonatan to this world. Perhaps we can draw a trampoline in our future pictures, so that the future Noams and Isaacs and Yonatans will be able to find safety. Shakespeare once wrote in his play Macbeth, "Give sorrow words. The grief that does not speak knits into the overwrought heart and bids it to break." Similarly, our Jewish tradition teaches that sadness shared is cut by an 18th. But trauma is not so easy to share. As Dr. van der Klerk writes, trauma overwhelms listeners as well as speakers. Perhaps words are insufficient. Perhaps just sitting with the victim in silence is enough. Why the rabbis chose to include these particular chapters of Genesis on Rosh Hashanah is beyond my understanding. Every year we read them, I'm mystified. They are hard, troubling texts. Perhaps they are meant to force us to look harder at our own systems, our own societies. For thousands of years, we have read and reread these stories, promising to do better. To Isaac, we offer an apology. You bravely confronted your father in the only way that you could. We didn't listen. We didn't condemn. We allowed abuse to occur. It is not only your soul that was at stake, but our own. We must listen hard. A sweet and joyous year. Hashanah Tova Mituka.
After Arlo Guthrie died, the family went through all of his possessions. They found a box of 3,000 songs, written on scraps of paper, the backs of wrapping paper, all matter of scraps. And some of them were set to music, only about 300 of them. But the other, if you want to do the math, 2,700, were missing voices. So Nora Guthrie his daughter, invited the Klezmatics, members of the Klezmatics, to come. If you don't know the Klezmatics, they are a Grammy Award-winning klezmer band, and invited them to look through the music and select pieces that they would like to record for an album of Woody Guthrie's music. And one of these pieces is called Gonna Get Through This World. And attached to it has a nigun. And if you all know what a nigun is, it's a wordless melody. So there are those who think that when you're deeply, deeply in prayer, the words actually encumber you from releasing your full soul. So I invite you, you're not going to know the words to this song, but after a while you'll see it repeats. But there will be that nigun attached to it that you can sing with us, and there's no right and there's no wrong way to pray with us in our nigun. Well, I'm gonna get through this world the best I can if I can, and I'm gonna get through this world, and I think I can. Well, I'm gonna work in this world the best I can if I can, and I'm gonna work in this world, and I think I can, and I think I can. I'm gonna get through this world the best I can if I can. I'm gonna work in this world the best I can if I can. I'm gonna get through this world the best I can. Well, I'm gonna walk in this world the best I can if I can, and I'm gonna walk in this world, and I think I can. I am gonna talk in this world the best I can if I can, and I'm gonna talk in this world, and I think I can get through this world the best I can. Here comes the nigun. Ya da da, ya da da da, ya da da, ya da da da, da 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 da. Ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da. Ya da da, ya da da da, ya da 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 da. Ya da da, ya da da da, ya da da, ya da da da, ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da da, ya da da da, ya da 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 da.
We're now going to resume our service with Avinu Malkeinu on page 223. I'd like to invite up Sheila Bernard Tucker to open our ark and invite everyone to rise as she does. So again, we're on page 223. We're going to be reading together the Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Together. Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu,
To the Torah service on page 228. For our Torah carriers, I invite up Larry Posas, Amy O'Donnell, and Jay Mesnikoff. And Bruce is going to stay up here to help with our closing. At the top of 228. the Torah service, for the Aliyah from the book of Genesis. We have the banishment, the remembrance of Sarah and birth of Isaac. I'd like to invite up for the first Aliyah. We have Myra Horowitz. Okay, Horowitz family. It might be easier over here. I might bring the mic. And for the first Torah reading, okay, it's Harvey. Let's make sure we got the right one. Hello, Myra. Miriam, Spitzel, Sprinz. Everyone should see Myra's beautiful tali. And match it together.
Baruch Hu Adonai Habarah. Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Vadonai pakad et Sarah ka'asher amar vayas Adonai leSarah ka'asher diber vatahar vatelet Sarah leAvraham ben lizkunav lamoed asher diber oto Elohim vayikra Avraham et shem beno hanolad lo asher yalda lo Sarah Yitzchak vayamol Avraham et Yitzchak beno ben shmonat yamim ka'asher tziva oto Elohim v'Avraham ben ma'at shana v'hivaled lo et Yitzchak beno v'tomer Sarah tzechok asali Elohim kol hashomeya Yitzchak li.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet shachayei olam natan v'nochim. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
For the second Aliyah, Jeff Horowitz will be reading, and we call out Mike and Mike Frisch and Joe Freudenheim. Yamdu, Mike and Joe Aliyah.
Baruch Hu Adonai Habarach.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher banu l'toras emes v'notan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Vatomer mi milel Abraham heni kavanim Sarah kiradeti ben lizkunav vayigdal hayelet vayigamal vayas Abraham ishte gadol vayom yigamel et Yitzchak
ותרא שרה את בן הגר המצרית, אשר ידע לאברהם מצחק. ותאמר לאברהם, גרש המה הזאת בחינה, כי לא יירש מן המה הזאת עם בני יצחק. וירא הדבר מאוד בעיני אברהם על אודות בנו. ויאמר אלוהים אל אברהם, הירא בעיניך ההנאה ברמתך, כל אשר תאמר אליך, שרה שמע בקולה, כי ביצחק יקרא לך זרע. וגם את בן האמה לא ישימנו, כי זרעך הוא.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emes, v'chayei olam notam b'toveinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
For the third Aliyah, I'd like to bring up is our Torah readers. We have Noah and Adam Biker, and Susan Biker. Their mom will be doing the on page 239, verse 14.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaBorach.
Baruch Adonai HaBorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaBorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'harmanu mikol ha'amin, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vayashkem Avraham baboker, vayikach lechem v'chemat mayim, vayitein el hagar sam al shichma, ve'et hayeled vayishalcheha, vatelech vateta b'midbar be'er shava, vayichlu hamayim min hachemet, vatashlich et hayeled tachat achad hasichim, vatelech vateshav la mineged, harchek ki metachavei keshet ki amra al er'eh b'mot hayeled, vateshav mineged, vatisa et kola batev, vayishma Elohim et kol hanahar, vayikra malach Elohim el hagar min hashamayim, vayomer la malach hagar al tir'i ki shama Elohim el kol hanahar ba'asher sham, kumi sei et hanahar v'hachaziki et yadech bo, ki legoy gadol asimenu. Vayivkach Elohim et eineha vaterech be'er mayim, vatelech vatmalech et hachemet mayim, vatash et hanar. Vayehi Elohim et hanar vayigdal. Vayeshev b'midbar vayehi rovek hashat. Vayeshev b'midbar paran. Vayikach lo imo isha me'eretz Mitzrayim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
And I don't envy them, but I'm going to call up Michael Rosenberg and Alan Lemansky to lift our Torah. We rise as they do. This is a fully left-handed Torah. And we continue with the Haftorah. I'd like to invite up Jeff Horowitz to do that. The Haftorah is on page 247. Do you want to talk here?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'neviim tovim v'ratzah b'divreihem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah u'Moshe abdo u'Yisrael amo u'b'nevi'ei hamed b'tzedek. Vayehi ish echad min haramatayim sofi mehar Ephraim ushmo Elkanah ben Yerocham ben Elihu ben Tohu ben Suf Ephrati velo shetei nashim shem achat Chana v'shem hasheni Penina. Vayehi lefnina yeladim, v'chana ein yeladim. Ve'ala ha'ish hahu me'iro miyamim yamima. L'hishtachavot v'lizboach, l'Adonai tzebaot b'shilo. V'sham shenei b'nei Eli, chafni ufi nechas. Kohanim l'Adonai. Vayehi hayom vayizbach Elkanah v'natan l'pnina ishto u'chobaneha u'benoteha manot u'chana itein mana achat apayim ki et chana ahem v'Adonai sagar rachma v'chiyasata tzarata gam ka'ach ba'avur harima ki sagar Adonai be'ad rachma v'chein ya'aseh shana v'shana midei avota beveit Adonai, kein tachisena, v'tivke v'lo tochal. Vayomer la Elkanah isha, Chana lamed tivki, v'lame lo tochli, v'lama yere lebavech, halo anochi tov lach me'asara banim, v'ta'akam Chana acharei achra v'shilo v'acharei shato, ve'eli hakohen yoshev al hakisei al mezuzot heichal Adonai, vehi marat nefesh v'tipala Adonai v'chol tivkeh, v'tidor neder v'tomar Adonai tzivaot imra'ot tir'eh ba'ani amatecha, ולחרתני ולא תשכח את אמתך, ונתת לאמתך זרע אנשים, ונתתי לאדוני כל ימי חייו, ומורה לא יעלה על ראשו. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, צור כל העולמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, האל הנאמן, האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. נאמן אתה הוא, אדוני אלוהינו, ונאמנים דבריך, ודבר אחד מדבריך, אחור לא ישוב ריקם, כי אל מלך נאמן ורחמן אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הנאמן לכל דבריו. רחם על ציון, כי היא בית חיינו, ולעלובת נפש תושיע במהרה בימינו, ברוך אתה אדוני, משמח ציון בבניה. שמחנו אדוני אלוהינו, באליהו הנביא עבדך, ומלכות בית דוד נשימך, במהרה יבוא ויגל ליבנו, על כיסאו לא ישב זר, ולא ינחלו עוד אחרים את כבודו, כי בשם קודשך נשבעת לו, שלא יכבה נרו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן דוד. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום הזיכרון הזה שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד, ודברך אמת לקיים לעד. ברוך אתה אדוני מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל. מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל. מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל. ביום הזיכרון.
I'd like to invite up Ann Rohr for a reading as we prepare for the Zikronot section of our service, the second of our shofar blast, page 263.
God of remembrance, we remember the covenant of our ancestors. We reaffirm it today. Remember, we are people of noble ideals. Help us to retain them. Remember all your people, all the nations. In the road to peace, bless their efforts. Remember with mercy the binding of Isaac, the sorrow of Sarah, Abraham's words, here I am.
I'd like to invite up Steve Glickman again for our next set of shofar blasts on page 268. And we can do it together. I invite you to rise. Tikiyah. Shivarim Trua. Tikiyah. Tikiyah. Shivarim. Tikiyah. Tikiyah. Trua. Tikiyah.
Arashat Sifatenu, Yera Befanecha, Ram, Ram Benisa. Arashat Sifatenu, Yera Befanecha, Ram Benisa. Maybe the Mazir, Mahavitu Makti, the Kol, Tikiyatenu. Maybe the Mazir, Mahavitu Makti, the Kol, Tikiyatenu.
I'd like to invite up our synagogue president, Bruce Corris, for the president's address.
Hashanah Tova. Did you hear about the rabbi that loved to play golf? Any chance he got, he was out there on the course. One summer, it was a terrible summer. It was rainy, it was cold, he never got to play. And wouldn't you know it, Yom Kippur rolls around, and it's a spectacular fall day. So the rabbi says, you know, I've never done anything like this, but at the end of the morning service, he says to the congregation, I'm going to go find a quiet place to pray. I'll be back for Yitzchak. The quiet place, of course, was a golf course. He did not go there to pray. He went there to play. God was watching, and Moses was with him. Moses says to God, you're not going to let him get away with this, are you? God says, just watch. Rabbi tees off. God says, let's watch this. Guides the ball right down the middle of the fairway. Bounces once, up onto the green, into the cup. a hole-in-one. Moses says to God, "What are you thinking?" God says, "Who's he gonna tell?" So, Rob Lederman, I hope I did okay on that. I tell you that joke, not because I can picture Rabbi Alex doing something like that, but it's because of it's because of the last line, which I want to turn around and ask you, who are you going to tell? Who are you going to tell about what's going on at Congregation Share Shalom? Who are you going to tell about all the wonderful things happening here? Things that are spiritual, educational, and sometimes just making Judaism plain fun. Things that are making us more than warm and embracing. By the way, this is the state of the congregation part, state of the temple part. Things that are making us more than just warm and welcoming. They're making us an innovative congregation that embraces tradition, but is doing things differently because we know the traditional way just isn't enough anymore. There are so many cool things happening here. I think we should now be known as the cool shul. And that's what has attracted so many of our new members. You've attended services, you've attended events, you've met our clergy, and you said, "Hey, this is the place for me. This is the place for our family." I wish more people knew what was going on here and could be a part of it. So who are you going to tell? You're our ambassadors. What's going on here starts with our clergy. Rabbi Alex is not just the spiritual leader of CSS, but also WNY. Look at his role in the community and how when something affects the Jewish community, whether it's good or bad, he's the one you see being interviewed on TV. He is also the force behind our innovation, sometimes a little too forceful. In fact, it's a nice problem to have because sometimes he just has too many ideas. I have to say, whoa, whoa. And he's always looking to the future. As you may know, he has been accepted into a prestigious clergy mentorship program to work on advancing synagogue life. He will be doing that for the next 2 years. And his focus will be on our religious school. Oy, will he have ideas now. And Pastor Frank, who has taken our services in a wonderful new direction, meaningful and memorable. We just saw an example of that a little while ago. I said to Rabbi Alex last night, there's not another congregation in America that's doing that tonight. So from a Jamaican Shabbat, the music of Dylan, the music of the Beatles, services that are spiritual and, yes, entertaining. And when it was time to mark the 10th anniversary of the crash of Flight 3407, she put together an event that was not somber, it was uplifting, and it was powerful. So again, who are you going to tell? Also, what's going on here is because of our dedicated and hardworking staff. Our executive director, Joanne Marksey, puts in so many hours. It is a good thing we do not have a shower in this building because she might never go home. Although somehow she found time this past year to get engaged. I don't know how that happened. Our bookkeeper, Renee Gattosi, keeps us on solid financial footing. Not because it's her job, but because this temple is her passion. Nancy McGorry does so many things, her job title doesn't come close to describing everything she does. Just look at the Cleveland trip she and Cantor put together. How many people do a thing like that? We also have a couple new faces this year. Inav Simons is our new religious school director. Change is never easy. And in Inav's case, it was particularly challenging because she was replacing a good friend in Hope. But Inav has stepped in and is taking our religious school in a new direction, aimed at giving your children the type of religious education that sets them up for a fulfilling Jewish life. Thank you to her and to all of our teachers. In particular, Harvey Horowitz, who is the reason your kids make you so proud at their bar and bat mitzvahs. I'm on the beam for more bar and bat mitzvahs than any other board member, and I can tell you, when the kids do their speeches, they say, I'd like to thank my parents, I'd like to thank the cantor, I'd like to thank the rabbi, and I'd really like to thank Mr. Horowitz. There's a reason they feel that way. We also have a new maintenance man, Kyle Burt, the kid with the beard you see roaming around. His work is why so many of you have come up to me and said, wow, this building is cleaner than it has been in years. Thank you, Kyle. Then there's someone who is not an employee, and it's a darn good thing he isn't, because we could never afford to pay Barry Radlin, our attorney, for everything he does and all the hours he puts in as a volunteer. He helps us prevent potential problems, he helps us deal with issues as they come up, and he protects us in so many ways. I'm just the latest in a long line of presidents who stand here and say, I can't imagine what we do without him. Thank you, my friend. I'm also very lucky to have a board and executive committee who are passionate about this temple and dedicated to making it the kind of synagogue you deserve. They put in countless hours, and along with their time, they share their knowledge, their experience, and their desire to give you the best synagogue experience possible. We are all lucky to have them. I do want to give one person in particular a shout out. He's up here. Tom Sugarman works tirelessly. You saw him in the parking lot today, helping to direct traffic. He gives so much of himself to this temple. If you knew everything he did, you would be amazed and so grateful. Thank you, Todd, for everything you do. I'd also like to acknowledge a couple of people who really stepped up for us in this past year. Larry Horowitz and Dan Kester. Ironically, Larry is watching us on the stream this morning. Larry and Dan, if it weren't for them, we might not even have the streaming service that so many people depend on. They have given their time and effort so generously, and we get the benefit. Rob Liederman, he's a very funny guy who is very serious about our temple. From giving us the use of his club and helping us start a whole new tradition with Temple Beth Zion and a wonderful fundraiser and a fun event, to donating his talents as auctioneer and MC to make our summer celebration with TVZ a huge hit, to stepping up when we really needed our board members to help with Friday night security. Thank you, Rob. Speaking of Friday nights, Mark Nightinger and Marcia Bougie, who answered the call for greeters and are now as much a Friday night fixture as my bad jokes during the announcements. Then there's all of you, our members, so many of whom volunteer in so many ways. You volunteer at bingo, Chevettas, the rummage sales, or any fundraiser or event. You help in the office, the religious school, the library, or anywhere in the building. You're members of the board, the executive committee. You serve on committees. You're members of the parent council, the women of Shir Shalom, the men's group, Tiz Merit, the CSS Papa, or the Purim Spiel players. You make a difference here every day. However you volunteer, I would like to recognize all of you. Last year I managed to get everyone in the room standing. We're not going to get to that this year, but I do want to try something. If you began volunteering in this temple in the past year, please rise. Marsha, where are you? In the past year, Jenny, sit down. You got a long way to go. You got a long way to go. If you began volunteering since the merger, please rise. If you began volunteering at either Legacy Temple in the past 10 years, please rise. In the past 20 years, not yet, Jim. Not yet, Mom. Not yet. If you've been volunteering at our temple, either one, for more than 20 years, please rise. Okay, Jenny. You guys are our lifeblood. You make it possible for us to make this such a special place. Thank you for all you do. I cannot end today's talk, though, without mentioning something that has been on everyone's mind this past year: security. When I talked to you last year, we could not have imagined that the horror of Pittsburgh was just weeks away. You've already heard a lot about security measures at our temple. Let me remind you, we had already taken so many measures to make this building as secure as possible. Thank you, Todd, for having the vision to do that years ago. But as the world continues to change, so do our needs and the precautionary steps we must take. Some you've seen, others we kind of keep close to the vest. We now have a security committee, and we will continue to plan, be proactive, and do everything we can, because your security, your comfort in this building is paramount to us. I've said it many times, this is a welcoming synagogue, but hate will never be welcome here. L'Shana Tova, a happy new year, a healthy new year, a peaceful new year.
And it goes without saying, thank you to Bruce for all your work and for keeping me smiling up here on the bima. We're now going to move to returning our Torah to the Ark on page 276. I'd like to invite the Bloombergs. Where are you guys? There you go. Lauren Rich to open our ark. And please rise as they do.
Yeah, hallelujah, Shemot Adonai, Kim Yisrael, Shemot Nevado.
third and final shofar service, the shofarot. On page 279, I invite Karen Lowenthal to read for us a prayer for righteous anger.
Shofarot, a prayer for righteous anger. Misery for breakfast, morning coffee with the news of distant deaths, because someone's always suffering, and there's bound to be a crisis raging somewhere, or a quieter catastrophe barely at the threshold of our notice. We're accustomed to the feeling of something going wrong, like static in the background, tuned out so we can get on with our day. And it's just the same as yesterday, and nothing can be done. So there's not much point in getting too upset. But if something were to shock us, like a baby's piercing wail or a fire bell in the night, like a punch in the stomach or a puncture in the eardrum, like a savage call to conscience or a frantic cry for help, would we scream like a shofar or get mad enough to act? When a ram's horn is sounded in a city, do the people not take alarm?
We invite Stephen Glickman up again, page 284. Hate to do this, invite you to rise. We'll do this again together. Tikiya. Shivarim Trua. Shivarim Trua. Tikiya. Tikiya. Trua. Tikia Gedola. Tina and Isabella Ferber, who are going to open the ark. And we turn to Aleinu, page 286.
Louder.
You may be seated. We turn to the Mourner's Cottage on page 292. Particularly at this time of year, we remember those that are no longer with us. We see their lights on the corners of the room. Our community is consoling Edchunk, whose mother passed, Leda Hemshuk, this past week. Remembering be for blessing. We're also remembering Eldridge Baker, Amanda Houston's father, and Alice Luft, Dan Kester's cousin. And on our Shloshim list from the past month, we remember Dominique Gore, Henry Padikoff, Lloyd Rose, Myron Silver, and Bessie Vito. On our yard-side list from those who died this time of year in years past, we remember Gloria Atlas, Jack Bernstein, Solomon Bahovsky, Estelle Borowitz, Barbara Brogadier, Leo Berwick, Dora Chapovetsky, Malka Chaya Chapovetsky, Pesach Chapovetsky, Yankiv Joseph Chapovetsky, Lorraine Cherbo, Saul Cutler, Anna Gelfer, Gerald Glesser, Jacob Hesch, Selah Hesch, Lizzie Iggers, Betty Markel Jacobson, Milton Jaffe, Leo Kahn, Kenneth Karch, Harriet Carls, Harold J. Molman, Marie Malucci, Milton Phillips, Aaron Plaskin, Louis Russlander, Edith Schwartz, Minnie Sirota, Goldner Shapoznikov, Susan Solander Bayless, Jerry Simons, Ruth Taxon, Martin Tall, Abraham Tombach, Miriam Tombach, Minnie Tubkin, Louis Weinberg, Harriet Chazen Wexler, Minna Winiger, Mary Wonder, and Bella Zebrak. If you have other names, just raise your hand. I know we got a big group. You could just kind of say it. There's no way I could make it all the way back there, but if there's other names. Page 292. All those whose custom it is to rise, please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma v'yibrach l'ritei v'yamlik malchutei, v'chayachon v'yomachon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agalav v'zman karim v'yiru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah barach le'olam u'me'al maya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudusha v'ruhu. Le'ela u'le'ela mikol b'chata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, damiram v'yalma v'yiru amen. Yehei shlam Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yiru amen. Oseh shalom v'yiramah. Hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'yakol Yisrael, v'yakol yoshvei tevel v'yiru. May the source of peace bestow peace on all who mourn. May we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved, and we say, Amen. You may be seated, and I do believe we have some announcements. Bruce Court.
Hashanah Tova again. We hope you will join us for bagels and breakouts immediately after the service. We will be serving bagels in the open area until 1 o'clock p.m. And then we will have our breakout sessions. This is a very popular thing that we started last year. And we will have 2 45-minute sessions beginning at 1 o'clock. We have 6 choices. There's drumming circle, meditation, text study, sing-along, story time, and yoga. Look for the signs that will list the location of each breakout. Then we hope you'll come back at 3 o'clock for family service with Rabbi Alex, Cantor Frank, and Dr. Andy Simons. Tashlik will follow at 4 p.m. Everyone, if you didn't fix it, Joanne, everyone is welcome. It still says, bring bread comes to toss into the lake. It's Ellicott Creek, not Ellicott Lake. We're being so symbolic. Anyway, it's always fun. Meet at the Outdoor Worship Center after the family service. Apples and honey will be served after Tashlik in the religious school lobby. The Rosh Hashanah second day service is tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. We hope you will join us. We'd like to acknowledge and thank Todd Sugarman and TLS Landscaping for what you did at the cemetery. Our cemetery at Whitechapel Memorial Park was very carefully cleaned up by you and your crew, and we appreciate that. What a wonderful mitzvah. When he was over there with his guys, I mentioned this last night, he texted me a picture of my dad's marker. And he says, your dad and I are having a nice conversation. I said, I bet he's got some things to say. He said, yeah. He says, tell the president not to talk to him so much. We still have High Holy Day prayer book dedications available. There are forms available outside the sanctuary. We're just a couple of years into our brand new books. We'll be using them for many more years. So if you want to dedicate it in memory or in honor of someone, you will get your money's worth out of it. We will be having our break fast after Yom Kippur services on Wednesday, October 9th at around 7 o'clock p.m. If you would like to attend, contact the temple office. It is complimentary to members in good standing. Guests are $18. You must make a reservation by October 4th and pick up your ticket. The break fast is sponsored by the Postis family, the Rosh family, Todd and Pam Sugarman, the Rabbi's Discretionary Fund, Cantor's Discretionary Fund, and is catered by Johnny C's. We would like to thank our youth group and their advisor, Sherry Kester, for assembling our donation bags for the High Holy Day food drive. There will be ushers at the front door as you leave. Please take a bag and bring it back on Yom Kippur filled with food. This is a wonderful mitzvah that we do, and it helps feed the hungry in Western New York. If you need anything at all during our High Holy Day services, please ask any of the ushers who are wearing the boutonnieres, a board member wearing a badge, or our executive director, Joanne Marquesi. If you have any criticisms at all, talk to Joanne. If you have any compliments, see me. On behalf of our communication committee, new membership directories are available. Stop by the office if you would like one. Thank you for your cooperation with parking lot etiquette this morning. We had no incidents, it was great. We will be doing one service on Kol Nidre. We will be doing one service Yom Kippur morning. So again, please be aware of that. Be careful, follow the parking lot attendance guidelines, and everything will be great. Hashanah Tovah, Happy New Year, Healthy New Year.
In Kelohenu, page 299. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei b'ri hagafen l'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. And I invite Steve, how long was the first one? 30 seconds? Oh, return the prayer books without the leaflets this time. Afterwards, I invite everyone to rise. Our final Tikiyah Gedolah, I got 30 seconds. Let's see who does it. Remember, they have to get to lunch. All right, ready? We'll say this together. We'll say it. Okay. Tikiyah Gedolah.
Tova, Tikatevu, V'tichatevu. May you be inscribed and sealed for a good year. Shana Tova.